So our next interview with year one of the Quayle administration is with Martyn Perkins, making the news in all sorts of ways in a minute, but we'll come to that later. But obviously, first of all, have you enjoyed it so far?
I have, Paul. It's been exciting, it's been frustrating, it's been exhilarating. Is that the right word? Exhilarate, yeah. And it's a whole gamut of things. And you probably understand better than anyone else. It's actually 3 jobs in one. Mm-hmm. You've got your constituency work, you've got your parliamentary work, and you've got your department work. When
you went into this, though, I mean, you're a businessman, and you were, you know, was it a calling? Is that thing that, oh, if I don't stand, you know, we'll go to parts, and people saying, you know, I had this calling. No, not for you?
I sort of had a bit of a calling, yeah, and you look at government, and of course anybody outside can do darn sight better than the people that are in there, and you know, it's one of those things. And the 3 areas, first of all, the constituency work. I used to look after the workers that we had. You ask any of the guys that used to work for us at the factory, we used to look after their little troubles, and a happy worker is a productive worker. So I wasn't too worried about the constituency work. The parliamentary work was a bit daunting because, having not really known an awful lot about it, I followed what Timor did and one thing and another. That was that. But I felt I could really do something for the Isle of Man with the department work, and I'm passionate about selling the Isle of Man. Working for the DED, which of course is one of the jobs I got, and I was lucky also to get DEFA, and yeah, the rest, as I say, is history.
Do you see yourself in this sort of going politically for a long period of time, and you know, working up? You say you like doing this sort of thing, so you want to be a minister? You want to run things at some point?
I don't actually see myself as a minister. I see myself as a good wingman, possibly. Right. I don't ask too many questions in the House because I believe you can do much better behind the scenes. I wouldn't describe it as a Mr. Fix-It, but I believe that you can liaise with certain people within the departments. And having 2 departments, it's really good because you can bridge the gap between one and the other department. You can try and stop this silo mentality that was in the last administration. And that's where I see myself.
Okay, you have made the news in the sense of the OFT side of things with the gas. I mean, there's an example. Do you think, you say how you handle your people at work, is it a different mentality you need here working with the government / the public?
Well, the thing is, at work, you pay their wages, and it's a lot easier to deal with. When you're dealing with the public, they pay your wages, so it's a complete reversal of the situation. On that particular issue, I met the protesters, I listened to what they say, took on board, and there are people that are struggling to pay the gas bills. But, and I know they say it's the Perkins broken record, we are tied into that agreement, and we cannot go against that at the moment without costing the government a lot of money and the legal stuff that goes behind all that.
Are you hurt by the way these reactions, especially the social media side of things? You probably had quite a mauling. I mean, I don't see all of it, but do you follow that?
To be quite honest, I just ignore it, Paul. The ones,
you do see it?
People tell me, and I do have people. I've got a hardcore about 8 or 9 people that are out in the community that keep me posted what's really going on. And one of the problems is people are saying that social media is the new opposition. Well, I tend to disagree with that completely because there are half a dozen people, 20 people, and they have collared the Manx social media scene. And really, you do take slight notice of it, but the Manx Gas one that was run by Barry Murphy, or whatever his name is, I give that credence because people were going on there, they had solid evidence, they were actually publishing their bills for everybody to see. And that is unusual in the Isle of Man. People like to keep it private. So I did take a lot of notice of that.
And yeah, I mean, we dispute the numbers, but I think there's between 40 and 50 people there. I don't know what you thought, I counted them, but you know, other media saying 100 were there, but it's still a very small percentage that demonstrated. So overall, do you think the contentment is there, but a few people can sort of whip something up? Or do you think there is an underlying, not hostility to the whole thing, but certainly
there's frustration, there's concern. I tend to agree with you. I don't think there was anywhere near 100 people. But having said that, we do need to take notice of the people that are there. The one thing that got me a bit annoyed as Officer Fair Trading, you asked the protesters, have you been to Manx Gas? and half of them hadn't queried the bill with Manx Gas. And that is the pressure point. You know, they're the guys that are sending out the bills.
Yeah, well, things have certainly moved on now. They've got a Facebook page and all sorts, so we'll leave that one alone.
That's just part of it. And the other thing I should say, Paul, is that's just a minuscule part of what the Office of Fair Trading deal with. Fine. We deal with 101 other things. You know?
You probably need some media training along the line somewhere. I think probably you didn't help the whole thing when you said, you know, we're not bothering. But then that's hindsight, I suppose. It's when you say something, but it can come out slightly differently.
Absolutely, you know. And
I
shoot from the hip. I say it as I see it, and I've got to learn that as a politician.
We'll leave that for another day.
I'll knock one mark off my performance on that. Yeah.
When you walked around the constituents, did you have anything particularly you stood for, by the way? You know, when you're not door knocking, was there anything you're particularly saying, or was it just general?
There was a few things. Number one was the TV licence, which was great. Everybody came on board with that, and we got that done and dusted. There is an issue burning about the ID cards and one thing and another, and I do believe we need to know who is coming on the island and who is going off the island.
All right, okay.
And that will be coming out in the next few weeks, I think. Social sort of legislation-wise, I completely agree with Dr. Allison's new bill, abortion bill. I think that's very important. My own particular one that I will be looking at later in the year, depending on how it goes, is organ transplant donors. Now, Wales has actually had an opt-out clause put in. So if you really don't want your organs donated, you can opt out. And I think that is pretty important. But I'm talking to the transplant committee at the hospital, and I'm just waiting to see how that goes forward, and we'll see what we're going to do about that.
And this next year, have you got anything particular? You know,
well, that's one of the things. Yeah,
fine.
And amongst other stuff as well.
I thought it was on the. Was that going through? Or were you actually going to?
I'm
that one up, are you?
I'm thinking about doing a private members bill on that. Okay. A bit like Doc Allison's done the abortion bill.
Yes, yes.
And interesting enough, you know, when we went to Canada with the Parliamentary Association, and I put myself on that course because I didn't know the first thing about how Parliament works or anything. And you imagine walking in here the first day and you get handed the standing orders of Parliament. You go, and I really realised I'd better find something out about the mechanics of how it works. So five of us went on the trip.
Yeah.
And before the trip, it was like a mini open university course. We all had to do the homework and our research and answer questions. The Americans call it a quiz, but there's all this stuff going on behind the scenes.
Are you a fan of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Jolly? Should I use that word, Jollies? You know, that's how people perceive it. You know, some people sign up for this, some people don't, because they disagree with this fact that you're going around the world, going to fantastic locations.
I can assure you it's not a jolly, but he would say that because he's a politician.
You would say that because you're a politician?
Yeah, it's not a jolly. It was hard work.
No.
The stuff we did, distance learning through the internet beforehand, the week we were there was really full on. I mean, we had lectures from 8:30 in the morning till about 6:30 at night, plus the fact we had homework to do and presentations for the next day. We actually got a trip out to the Parliament buildings, which was really interesting. And of course, don't forget, we gave up a weekend either side to travel to Canada.
Okay.
You know, so there's
you're not going to get a lot of sympathy from people though on this one. Say that, it's hard work.
But the other big thing about it is we came away with networking between Jersey, Guernsey, Anguilla, the Northwest Territories in Canada, Tasmania, and we've made all these contacts. Okay. Yeah.
So, which departments would you like in the future?
I'm very happy where I am. You know, the DEFA, we've got Office of Fair Trading, that takes up a fair bit of time. Food and drink, what a success story that is. We've come up with a label, well, the two labels that gives you provenance of Isle of Man food. And, you know, as a shopper now you can clearly see Isle of Man produce. That helps the island's economy internally.
So you're happy?
Happy with that. DED. 1 minute I'm talking to Alan Massey of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency in the UK. I'm doing a lecture at Cork University. There's so much going on.
I don't need a thing, but I'm sure it sounds fantastic. But just to keep people interested in what we're talking about. If you were a minister, which one would you like then? If you were made a minister?
Probably DED, but I've no aspirations at all.
The new enterprise, you mean? The new one?
Department for Enterprise, and what a better name to call it, isn't it? You know, and it's an enabling department.
Okay. Well, you know, I'm going to ask you for some scores here. So, I mean, how do you rate your performance this year?
Top 7, I think. I've still got a lot to learn, especially media-wise, you know, as you pointed out.
And do you see yourself as going forward? I know it's early days, but I mean, do you see yourself continuing this role, or would you like to get back into the private sector as soon as you can? You know.
No, I enjoy what I'm doing, and you know, I'll make a decision in 3 years' time.
I mean, would you recommend it to people? I mean, now you've had that. Yeah,
and especially the people that shout and bawl and stick your head above the parapet, put your name down, come and have a go. You know, if you possibly can.
Are you on social media much these days yourself, by the way?
Not really, no.
Have you ever been, or it's just pulled you off it?
Family stuff, but even that is dwindling away because social media somehow has got quite toxic.
Yeah. Has it altered you, like when you go out, you always remember MHKs, before the MHKs, going out and I see them in the pub or something, then afterwards you never see them out because they say they just get so many people coming up to them. Have you had that sort of thing? Being a laxy,
Well, I was in the co-op the other week for a pint of milk and a loaf of bread, and 2 hours later, Tracy thought I'd run off with some woman,
Yeah. So, is that kind of quite difficult, or do you enjoy
it means you're in touch with the public. You take the cat to the vet and you sit and talk to people next to you, you get the real feedback you need.
Okay. How do you get on with Mr. Quayle?
Very well. I mean, if you look at how he's positioned people, he's got the right people in the right places.
Has he been sympathetic to your situation with...
he understood the Manx gas situation and, he was supportive. I can't complain about that at all.
And the rest of the ministers all backing you?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a very good relationship with the other ministers, and that's why I don't ask so many questions. They say to me, if you know the officer you want to talk to, send him an email, keep me copied in, and they're quite happy with that.
Okay, so what would you rate the government finally then?
I'd say 8. There's a lot of criticism flying around, but we're doing the groundwork at the moment. And, give us a chance, and I'm sure things will start to come good, especially when the Brexit thing sorts itself out. And, of course, there's been various comments, we'd be better joining Lancashire, we'd be better doing this, going back to the UK. I really don't think we would.
Okay. I should point out, when you do have time off, you still play in your band, don't you?
Yes, I do, yeah.
So you should give them
I make it absolutely clear that it's non-political. That's my downtime.
It's quite funny if you see him out and about, because you used to go, what's he doing? Well, you play, is it banjo, was it?
Squeezebox.
Squeezebox. It's very funny.
People love that. They like to see it. And dear old Claire, she was doing the karaoke.
Yeah.
And it shows we're only human, doesn't it?